Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Now, April 29th, it goes down in the heavyweight division. Great for boxing, great for the division. A meaningful fight between the up-and-comer, all knockouts in his under 20 fights. He has all knockouts, stopped everybody. But this is definitely and easily his biggest test against Dr. Steelhammer, Wlad Klitschko, Joshua Klitschko. Wembley, 90,000 fans. Now, I guess I got to file this under the Ego rumor mill because I don't think it's official. But what it's looking like, as you guys seen in the title, Joshua Klitschko, there's been a war, a bidding war, and it was taking forever to find out the verdict, what network was gonna host this fight. Like another UK fight with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom is Kell Brook, IBF champion, fighting Errol Spence Jr., and that was deemed a while ago that fight was going to be on Showtime in the US for their US distribution, and obviously Sky Sports for the UK broadcast. But it was up in the air about Joshua Klitschko, what network would host that. Now, as you've seen in the title, it's looking like both networks, Showtime and HBO. So they both wanted the fight and they both placed bids, but here's how it's working. Joshua, he did a multi-fight deal with Showtime, and he had been on their network for a US home, and they've been building up Joshua's brand and his profile in the United States, courtesy of Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn has a good relationship with Showtime because Kell Brook is another person. He put Kell Brook, he worked a deal, and Kell Brook versus fighters like Jojo Dan was on Showtime. So Joshua being a big UK star, to me it sounds like they're trying to build up Joshua versus Deontay Wilder and bring Joshua to America for a big fight like that. So that's obviously a future fight. I would love it. And they've been working on again, just building his profile in the United States. So he's been working with Showtime. However, Klitschko has been on HBO. You watch Klitschko versus Tyson Fury, HBO. Klitschko versus Brian Jennings, HBO. Kubrat Pulev, all these fights, HBO, right? So each fighter historically in their last few fights have been on opposing networks. Both networks wanted this fight because Joshua Klitschko in attendance is going to have 90,000 fans. So this is a big fight, not only for the division, but just boxing in general. And neither network wanted to back down from their fighter. And they have the rights to, in terms of contractually, HBO had Klitschko under contract, so they didn't want to back down. And Joshua was under some kind of multi-fight contract with Showtime. And since this is a big type of fight, a colossal fight, neither company wanted to be cut out. You know what I mean? Like HBO didn't want, like, okay, Showtime can have that, right? This is a big fight, and that's kind of where it sits. So from what it sounds like, they're both going to distribute the fight in the US, and the way it's going to work is the live broadcast will be on Showtime. So if you want to watch it in real time, you have to tune in to Showtime. If you're at work or something, HBO is going to rebroadcast it like a later airing of the fight in case you missed it later on in the evening. So similar to Kell Brook, if you watch the Kell Brook fight, how they have that happened in the daytime and then they rebroadcast it later. It's something like that. So Showtime is going to air it first in real time, in live time, UK time, but over in the States. And HBO is going to get the sloppy seconds, I guess you could say. So that's the deal that they work. There are some stipulations that they're still working out, which is why I'm sure it hasn't been widely reported and certain details haven't been hashed out. But it looks like that's the beans and the meat of the deal, is they're both going to distribute this in the US. It's just that Showtime, it sounds like, since they were working with Joshua, who's the champion, has the better of the deal, and Showtime's gonna have to pay more money because they're getting it when it's live, when it's fresh, as opposed to HBO, who's just rebroadcasting it. And I think there's some other details that they're going to flip-flop. If a rematch, if they have a Joshua Klitschko 2, then HBO would get the rematch rights, and the same deal basically, but HBO would get to air it live first, and Showtime would have to rebroadcast it. So it looks like that's the deal that they worked on, and it should be announced shortly. And I mean, my thoughts on it, it's cool. I think Showtime gets the better of the deal. Obviously, I mean, with all the live streaming and live this and live that, I mean, who wouldn't want to be the network who's airing it in real time as opposed to the network that's rebroadcasting it? You know what I mean? So obviously Showtime, they're going to pay for a little bit more. Like, bottom line is this: I have nothing against any of these networks. They both provide some coverage of the sport I love, but Showtime's slaughtering HBO in the first half of 2017. They put on the more compelling fights. They put on way more fights. In fact, HBO doesn't really have, after Lomachenko versus Jason Sosa, that was a nice triple header, but most people didn't give Jason Sosa a chance, and rightfully so, and Lomachenko showed you why in the fight. So it wasn't competitive at all, and it was the outcome most people, if you have a brain, predicted. And now HBO doesn't have really any big fights on regular HBO. In fact, I don't even know when the next card is. Like, I literally cannot think. The next fight I could think of on regular HBO, well, actually I can't, but the next fight on HBO, like just them, would be maybe like Canelo versus Chavez Jr., which is HBO pay-per-view, Ward Kovalev, which is HBO pay-per-view. So some good fights, but you're gonna have to pay for them. Meanwhile, Showtime is giving us a ton of fights. They put Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman on CBS, which is their parent company. They're putting Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr., a fight I really want to see. They're showing the Joshua Klitschko fight live in real time and not getting the sloppy seconds or the rebroadcast. They put on, in January, James DeGale versus Badu Jack. Tank Davis got a title. Now he's going to defend that, and that's going to be on Showtime too, against Liam Walsh in the UK. Mikey Garcia got a knockout of the year candidate, and he was on the card with Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton, a 2016 rematch and fight of the year. That was one card. Broner Granados, they put Lamont Peterson on that card. I was at that card. I went to Cincinnati for that. Marcus Brown was on the card versus Top Dog Williams. It's just, they're putting on quantity but also quality. You're getting a lot of bang for your bucks. Like, I mean, Joshua Klitschko is a huge fight, and they're getting it live in real time. Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr., best fight to me. That establishes the #1 welterweight to me. I mean, I understand Keith Thurman's there, but I think whoever wins, if they win in a convincing and rightful way in Brook versus Spence, to me, they'll beat Keith Thurman. I'm not saying it's easy. Again, I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. You know what I mean? Like, if the fight happens, I'll expand and explain. But if they have a dominant or a convincing win, Brook and Spence, to me, that is the #1 welterweight. So Showtime is just delivering. Steven Espinoza, he said that that's their goal, is to put on all these marquee fights and this and that. And they've stayed true to that promise. Meanwhile, HBO seems like they have one foot out and one foot in. So I guess something is better than nothing. And having a rebroadcast, because they have more homes, they cover more homes, more subscriptions than Showtime. So I'm sure they can make some money, because people who don't have Showtime and they want to watch that fight, even if it's a rebroadcast, it is what it is. Like, I have DirecTV, so these East Coast fights, like on Spike and all this, I get to watch it when it's really on in live time. But I know some people who live out in California. I'm up north in the Bay Area. And I know some people who have Comcast, and they don't get to watch the fights in real time, so they have to watch a rebroadcast. So again, it's better than nothing, but Showtime is just killing to me. As far as Joshua Klitschko, I did a 7 reasons. I did a Boxing Ego first look. Shout out to everybody who supported. The Boxing Ego first look has over 300,000 views, so I want to thank you guys for that. And let me know what else I should do for the Boxing Ego first look tale of the tape. I did a 7 reasons. I did pick Joshua. In my 7 reasons, I'm very respectful of both fighters, especially in a fight like this. Joshua Klitschko, to me, is a 50-50 fight. You can't sleep on Klitschko. That would be stupid. But it's a fight, you know what I mean? You got to pick a winner, and to me, I just think Joshua is more or less his time. But for more on that, check out that video so you can see the 7 reasons I'm picking Anthony Joshua to defeat Klitschko. But nonetheless, it's a good fight. Maybe Klitschko will prove me wrong. We'll see. But shout out to Showtime and HBO for working out some kind of deal. And some people were going to say, like, oh, what about Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson and Mayweather and Pacquiao? HBO and Showtime kind of came together to work on fights like that. The big difference is those were colossal fights at each time. Everybody wanted to see Lennox Lewis and Tyson, because, you know, Mike Tyson was wild and like, Lennox, I'm coming for you, sweetie. I'm gonna eat his kids for breakfast. Praise be Allah. Like, you know what I mean? He was doing all that, and there's no one. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. I'm just ferocious. I want to eat his kids. Lennox, I'm coming for you, sweetie. You know what I mean? He was doing all that. So that was a massive fight at the time. And Lennox Lewis was a long-standing champion who had beat a ton of people. So they almost had to come together, because that would be stupid if they didn't. Same thing with Mayweather Pacquiao. For 5 long years, fans debated, and they got Les Moonves with CBS and all this involved, and they got close. So it'd be foolish for dummies in suits to not make that fight and capitalize and make everybody some money. But those are all pay-per-views, and this is like a UK pay-per-view, but it's not. They wouldn't put it on pay-per-view, Joshua Klitschko, in the States. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So I guess for that reason they had to work another deal, because it's not a pay-per-view that everyone's gonna be able to eat off of. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.